everyone, my name is Anna, also known as the Plumbing Princess. I'm currently in my backyard. I apologize if there's a lot of background noise. My neighbor has a very loud parrot that likes to squawk, and we are right behind a busy street corner, so I apologize in advance if there's a lot of background noise. I'll try and talk nice and loud so you can hear what I'm saying. Today I am making a video on how to solder, which is a super highly requested video, and I'm super excited to finally be able to do it. There's the bird. You can say hi, bird. Anyway, I'm super excited to do this video for everybody today, but before I get into it, we do have a sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by UpStryve. For those of you that don't know what UpStryve is an online tutoring company that offers one-on-one tutoring for people in the trades that are looking to become licensed journey persons in their field of work, whether it's plumbing, electrical, carpentry, or maybe they want to become a general contractor. Because it's all online, it makes it really easy for you to work it into your busy schedule. So if you're looking for tutoring, or maybe you don't have a mentor in the trades like I do with my dad, UpStryve is a perfect service to consider. I myself am going to be using them as soon as I start studying and testing for my Journey Persons exam. I'm going to put a link in the description box down below so you can check them out. Please subscribe to them on YouTube, check them out on Instagram. They also have a TikTok, and visit their website if you wanted to learn more about UpStryve and to check to see if they are in your state. They are expanding, so if they're not in your state yet, I do have a feeling that they're going to be there soon. Anyways, thank you so much UpStryve for sponsoring this video. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's get into it. Today we're talking about soldering, and I would like to just show you how to do it. First things first, make sure, see if I can get this in the frame, make sure that you are wearing closed-toed shoes. We do not solder in sandals. If you solder in sandals and you drip molten hot solder on your feet, you deserve it. Second thing is gloves. Make sure that you are wearing a pair of gloves. I have seen people solder without gloves. I do not recommend that. It is very dangerous. For today, I will just be wearing my normal, utility gloves. I wear these gloves on the job just to protect my hands. So if you want to solder like a real plumber, you're going to need a real torch. We are not going to be soldering with a baby torch today. We are going to be soldering with the UniWeld Silver Bullet. I've had so many people ask me about this torch. This torch is the bee's knees. If you want to solder and like a real plumber and be a real plumber, invest in a good torch. Secondly, we're going to go ahead and grab us some MAP gas. Next thing on our list that we're going to use to solder is flux. Flux is an acid, and it basically helps anneal the solder to the pipe. You cannot solder without flux. This is as important as the solder itself. Next thing you need is a good flux brush. Make sure that it's not stubby. Make sure that the bristles aren't falling off. This one's getting a little yucky, but that's okay. It's still very clean for the most part. What happens when you're using your flux brush is sometimes the bristles get burned off. So you want to make sure that you just have a good one. And you don't want to get all the bristles and crap and debris on the solder anyways. So it's just helpful to have a good clean brush. Next thing that you're needing for soldering is a wire brush. This is to clean the fittings. That's what that looks like. All right, and they come in different sizes, different shapes, different kinds. But for the most part, this is what you're gonna want. Pretty straightforward, very simple. They're super cheap. Don't think twice about it. It's not a big deal. Next thing that you're going to want is sandcloth, sandpaper, sand whatever. I call it sandcloth. It's basically sandpaper, but it's a little bit more malleable, and we use this to clean the copper pipe. In a pinch, if you do not have a wire brush, you can use this to clean inside of a fitting as well, so long as your fingers aren't too fat to fit inside of a fitting, especially if it's like a 1/2 inch fitting. Next thing, of course, is solder. This is solder. Soldering is not just an act, it is an actual material. And then the last thing, I just have a rag here to wipe everything up when I'm done. So here on the table, I do have some scrap pipe here, and I have a 90. This is what I'm going to be using to solder today. I'm just going to go ahead and solder a piece of pipe into each end of the 90, and I'm gonna start showing you the prep process here. So we have two pieces of copper pipe. This is type M copper. It is the softest kind of copper. It heats up a little bit easier than type L copper, and type L copper heats up a lot easier than type K copper. So this is our thinnest piece of copper, but that's a-okay, perfectly fine to use. So I'm gonna go ahead, the first things first is I'm going to clean it. I'm gonna take my sand cloth, I'm gonna take my piece of copper pipe, and I'm just gonna lay it across like that, take my hand, and I'm just gonna go back and forth. All right, get a nice clean end. Okay, and what I like to do personally while I'm doing this is I'll take the pipe and I'll take the sand cloth, all right, and as I'm going back and forth, okay, I'll stay there for a minute, and then I'm gonna slowly start to do that and pull the copper pipe away from the cloth just to basically clean it as I'm moving down. So this is a nice clean end. You want your copper pipe to be nice and shiny. You don't want any of this debris, any of this film, calcium, anything like that on the end of your pipe when you're soldering. I'm just gonna clean that just a little bit higher. All right, that looks good to me. If you are an apprentice and you're gonna solder for your foreman or for your journeyman plumber, I would recommend making sure that it's clean above the fitting, and I'll show you what I mean here. Okay, so I put the fitting onto the pipe, and you see how it's clean above the fitting? That just shows your journeyman, say your journeyman left you to solder and he comes back to check on it afterwards. It just shows to him that you definitely took time to clean the pipe, and he doesn't have to ask you if you did it or not. Okay? So I'm gonna do that here with this extra scrap. And that's what we're going to be inserting into the fitting. Okay. Next step is to clean the fitting itself. I am forgetting one step. Normally, and this is a normal process, you will take this piece of pipe after you clean it, and you will take a reamer. I'm going to just use my flux brush as an example, but a reamer is a specific tool that you basically put into the copper pipe, and you take it and you get the burrs out from inside of the pipe. And the reason for that is because you want to make sure that the water flowing through that pipe isn't compromised in any way. For the sake of this video, I just don't have one, but yeah, that's just what it is. So make sure that you're gonna clean it, you're gonna ream it, you're gonna set it aside, and you're gonna go ahead and come to your fitting. You're gonna go ahead and take your copper cleaning brush, take any hair off of it. I've got long hair, it sheds a lot. And you're gonna put it into the pipe here. It's going to be a very snug fit. You want it to be a snug fit because otherwise it's not gonna clean the pipe. And what I like to do is basically, you see this twist here? So this is all twisted up. I basically just take it and I twist it with the twist. And I go in one direction. Do not go, I'm gonna take it out, hold on. Do not go back and forth like this. And the reason why is because the brush isn't gonna last as long that way. What happens over time is these bristles will start to just get pushed down from use. So to avoid that, at least to make it last a little longer, is to just clean it in one direction. You want it as shiny as the end of this pipe here. All right, that's what we're looking for. So I'm gonna clean the other end. All right, our next step is we're gonna go ahead and take our flux. What I like to do, and this is good practice, I take my flux brush, and this is just like at the beginning of your workday. Mix your flux up, okay? Now if this gets on your bare skin, it might make you itchy. It is acidic, so don't let that alarm you. Also, if you get hot flux on you, it burns. So just be careful of that. So we're gonna go ahead and just mix the flux up. The reason why is because we wanna make sure that all the chemical compounds and everything going on in here is mixed up and it's working properly. So go ahead and take your flux. I know this seems like a lot, but that's just because I just mixed it up. And you're going to put the flux inside of the fitting. Okay, and I do flux and fitting first, and I'll tell you why in a second. All right, and you don't need a lot, you know, it doesn't need to be ridiculous. Okay, so there you go, flux to fitting. The reason why I flux the fitting first is simply so I can set it down, and I don't gotta worry about the flux getting anywhere. And I'm gonna take my pipe, and I'm just gonna paint the outside here. You do not need to put flux on everything that you've cleaned. You're only fluxing what's going inside the pipe. So you're gonna go ahead and take your copper 90, your fitting or whatever, you're gonna take your pipe, just go ahead and shove that bad boy in there, and that's what you have. What I like to do is I like to wipe off any excess flux and move on. Make sure that the pipe is all the way inside of the fitting. Now that we have prepped our pipe, we've cleaned our pipe, we've cleaned our fitting, we've fluxed our pipe, and we fluxed our fitting, it is ready to solder. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and take your tank of gas, you're going to take your torch, you're going to get her ready. Make sure it's a nice snug fit, right? Doesn't need to be crazy, you don't need to wrench down on it or anything. All right, put that aside for a quick second. Get your solder ready. Simple L shape, all right? I like to keep my L a little bit more slanted. Everybody's different. Gonna get everything ready. I'm gonna have my flux by me. Okay, I'm gonna have my flux by me, and I'm gonna have my rag with me. Real fast, I wanna thank and shout out PipeVise for sending me this really awesome vise that I'm using to hold the pipe here today. What you wanna do after you turn on your torch is you're going to take it. Number one is utilize the swinging mechanism on your torch if you have one. It's super handy. And the reason why is because the direction of the flame is important. So when you're taking your torch, I'm going to walk through the process here. You're going to take it, you're going to heat the pipe up, okay? And you notice how the way that I have my torch right now, even with the flame not on, it's down, but you can imagine that the flame is going to be going this way. The reason why is because that's where I want the heat to travel. I want the heat to travel down the pipe and into the fitting. So I'm going to heat the pipe up, and it doesn't have to be crazy hot, just a real quick cursory. All right, bam, nice and hot. Okay, we're good to go, just a couple seconds. But you want to go ahead and get the pipe nice and warm, let that heat travel into the fitting itself, and then I'm going to move over to the 90. And then I'm going to start to move my torch around the 90 and get the entire circumference nice and hot, okay? That's what we're gonna be doing. It's gonna be these kinds of motions. Don't be nervous about touching the torch to the pipe. That's a-okay. One other thing too here is that the flame itself, what part of the flame you actually put on the pipe is important. So when it comes to the flame, at the very tip of the flame, it's gonna be blue. It's gonna move up, it's gonna be blue, and then gradually it's gonna turn into like a yellow-orange flame. The hottest part of the flame is right in the middle. So you want to get that real nice hot part of the flame to be what you're utilizing to heat up the pipe. So I'm gonna get started on this, and I will talk as I go, but if for some reason, as I listen back to this, if you can't hear me, I will caption it. So as far as with this torch itself, you're gonna go ahead and turn it off. Wait until you hear the gas, okay? I'm gonna put this up to the microphone, see if you can hear it. All right, the gas is on, it's ready to go, and then I'm gonna light it. Boom. Okay? Now for a 3/4 inch pipe like this, the flame does not have to be too big. So I'm just gonna keep it right in the middle. So here we go. I'll take my torch. I'm going to heat up the pipe. All right, quick, nice, quick. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to start moving around the fitting. Get that fitting nice and hot. And then I'm going to test it. Is it hot enough yet? Almost. I'm going to keep working. Here we go. Bam. 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 And that's it. Okay? Last thing, little flick. This is what the solder is doing, all right? You're not making a little cap right here, okay? That's not what that's doing. What's happening is the solder is literally getting sucked into the fitting. And as soon as we're all done with that, now the fitting is probably nice and cold now, and that's okay. But while the fitting is still somewhat hot, make sure that the solder is tacky looking. It's not flowing anymore. It's not shiny anymore. It's a little more tacky. Then you're just gonna take your flux, wipe the fitting down. It'll make a little bit of a sizzling noise, but that's okay. And then you'll take your rag and you're just gonna clean it up, okay? So then your last step is you're just gonna go ahead and inspect your work, whether it's inside of a wall or not. What you can do if it is inside of a wall, you can take a small mirror and you can just look to make sure that there's no gaps or breaks or anything. So this looks pretty good to me. Sometimes it can play tricks on you. Like for example, there's a little bit of burnt flux here on the end and it can make it look like there's a hole in the solder. So just get a feel for it and double check your work. Obviously you're going to know if there's a leak or not once you turn the water back on, and that's okay. Leaks happen, don't beat yourself up over it, but for the most part this is what you want your solder to look like, nice and clean. Okay, we got a little bit of a drip, that's a-okay. All right, but it got sucked in, not too much, not too little. It's not messy, fitting's nice and clean and wiped down afterwards, and you are good to go. So that is how you solder like a real plumber. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like to see next. Thank you UpStryve for sponsoring this video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram as well, and TikTok. All right, guys, I love you. I appreciate you. Have a super duper wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you guys later. Bye.